The cathedral stood silent in downtown Lagos, its grand halls echoing with emptiness. Inside, a single coffin lay surrounded by thousands of white roses, yet only one person sat in the pews. Amara, a 35-year-old street vendor, wept quietly in the front row, her weathered hands clutching a small, crumpled photograph. The priest looked confused. This was Samuel Richardson, the billionaire whose face had graced every magazine cover in Africa. His companies employed millions, his charities fed thousands. Yet here, at his final goodbye, sat only a woman who sold fruits on Wilson Street. "Where is everyone?" the priest whispered to the funeral director. The director shrugged. "She's been here since dawn." Says she knew him, but that's impossible. Samuel Richardson didn't associate with street vendors. Amara heard them. She always heard what people said about her. Poor Amara. Simple Amara, the fruit seller who barely made enough to feed her sick daughter. If only they knew the truth. If only they knew about the 3 tests that changed everything. 6 months ago, her life was different. 6 months ago, she didn't know that kindness could be a test, that honesty had a price, or that sacrifice would lead her here, to the funeral of the man who had pretended to be nobody, but was actually everybody's somebody. The sun hadn't yet painted the Lagos sky when Amara pushed her wooden cart onto Wilson Street. Her daughter Joy had coughed all night again, the medicine bottle now empty, mocking her from the kitchen counter. 70,000 naira for the next prescription. Might as well be 70 million. She arranged her fruits carefully, the good ones in front, the bruised ones hidden but still sellable to those who couldn't afford better. Pride was a luxury she couldn't afford, not with Joy's lungs getting worse each day. By noon, the street buzzed with life. Office workers rushed past, occasionally stopping for a quick apple or banana. Amara smiled at each customer, memorizing their preferences. Mr. Chen liked his oranges firm. Mrs. Adebayo wanted the greenest bananas. Small details that made her customers feel seen, remembered, valued. That's when she noticed him. An elderly man, probably in his 70s, dressed in a worn brown suit that had seen better decades. His shoes had holes, and his white beard needed trimming. He stood across the street, watching her serve customers with an intensity that made her uncomfortable. After an hour, he finally approached. His eyes, she noticed, were sharp and clear, not matching his disheveled appearance. "Good afternoon, Mama," he said, his voice carrying an unexpected refinement. "Good afternoon, sir. What can I get you today?" The old man studied her fruit display carefully, then pointed to the hidden section. "Those ones. The bruised bananas you're hiding. How much?" Amara felt her cheeks burn. "Sir, those are... I have better ones here. Same price. These fresh ones arrived this morning." "I want the bruised ones," he insisted, his eyes never leaving her face. "But sir, why would you—" "Because," he interrupted gently. "Someone has to buy them, don't they? Otherwise you lose money, and from the medicine bottle sticking out of your bag, I'd say you need every naira." Amara's hand instinctively moved to her bag, pushing the bottle deeper inside. How had he noticed? Most people looked through her, not at her. "The bruised ones are half price," she admitted quietly. "Then I'll take them all," he said, pulling out a wallet that seemed too expensive for his appearance. "But I'll pay full price. Sir, I cannot—" "You can and you will," he said firmly but kindly. "Consider it an investment in your daughter's health." As he paid, their fingers briefly touched, and Amara felt something she couldn't explain. A warmth, a connection, as if this moment mattered more than it appeared. "What's your name?" he asked. "Amara. Amara Okafor." "Amara?" he repeated, tasting the name. "Do you know what your name means?" "Grace," she replied. "My mother said it means grace." The old man smiled, a mysterious glint in his eyes. "Indeed it does. Tell me, Amara, do you believe in tests?" "Tests, sir?" "Life tests, the kind that reveal who we really are when nobody's watching." Before she could answer, a commotion erupted down the street. A young boy had snatched a woman's purse and was running directly toward them. Without thinking, Amara stuck out her foot, tripping the thief. The boy tumbled, the purse flying from his hands. As the police arrived, the old man watched Amara with intense interest. "You could have been hurt," he observed. "Maybe," she said, helping the shaken woman retrieve her purse. "But doing nothing would have hurt more." The old man nodded slowly, as if she'd answered a question he hadn't asked. Over the next 2 weeks, the old man, who'd introduced himself simply as Samuel, became a regular customer. He always bought the fruits others wouldn't, always paid more than asked, and always stayed to chat. Amara found herself looking forward to his visits. This strange, kind man who seemed to see her as more than just another street vendor. One particularly hot Thursday, Amara noticed her rival vendor, Marcus, setting up an elaborate new stall directly across from her. Marcus had tormented her for years, constantly trying to steal her customers, spreading rumors that her fruits were diseased, even once calling the health inspectors with false complaints. "Competition is healthy," Samuel observed, appearing at her side. "Competition? Yes," Amara replied, watching Marcus hang a sign advertising prices she couldn't match. "Cruelty is something else." By midday, most of Amara's regular customers had drifted to Marcus's stall, lured by his dramatic price cuts and false promises of imported quality. Amara's earnings dropped to almost nothing. Joy's medicine would have to wait another week. Samuel watched it all, saying nothing but observing everything. That's when the test truly began, though Amara didn't know it. A well-dressed woman approached Amara's nearly empty stall. She was crying, her makeup running in dark streams down her cheeks. "Please," the woman said, "I need help." "My daughter, she's in the hospital. I came to buy fruit for her, but my wallet was stolen. I have nothing, but she hasn't eaten in 2 days. The doctors say she needs vitamins, fresh food, or she'll get worse. Please, I'll pay you back. I promise. I just need—" "Take what you need," Amara interrupted, already packing a bag with her best remaining fruits. "No payment necessary." "But you don't understand," the woman protested. "I need enough for several days, and the nurses too. They're taking care of her without pay because I can't afford—" Without hesitation, Amara began emptying her entire display into bags. Apples, oranges, bananas, mangoes, everything she had left, including the premium items she'd been saving for her wealthiest customers. "Wait," Samuel interjected. "Amara, that's your entire stock. What will you sell tomorrow?" Amara paused, then continued packing. "Tomorrow will take care of itself. Today a child needs food." The woman broke down completely, clutching the bags. "How can I ever repay you?" "Help someone else when you can," Amara replied simply. "That's payment enough." As the woman left, Amara turned to find Samuel staring at her with an unreadable expression. "You just gave away your daughter's medicine money," he said quietly. "Yes," Amara admitted, her voice barely a whisper. "But that woman's daughter is in the hospital now." "Mine is at home. We can wait another week." "They can't." Samuel pulled out a small notebook and wrote something down. Amara thought nothing of it. Lots of old people carried notebooks. The next morning, Amara arrived at her spot to find it already occupied, not by Marcus, but by crates and crates of the finest fruits she'd ever seen. A note sat on top. "A good heart deserves good fortune. A friend." But the test wasn't over. Marcus, furious at seeing Amara's mysterious windfall, approached with the police, claiming she'd stolen the fruits. The officers, whom Marcus had clearly bribed, were ready to arrest her. "These fruits," one officer said, "they're too expensive for someone like you. Where did you steal them from?" The crowd gathered, some filming with their phones. Amara's reputation, built over years of honest work, was about to be destroyed. That's when Samuel stepped forward. But instead of defending her, he asked a simple question. "Amara, if going to jail means keeping these fruits, or giving them to Marcus means staying free, what do you choose?" Everyone waited. The cameras rolled. Marcus smirked. "Give them to him," Amara said without hesitation. "My freedom is worth more than any fruit." Marcus's triumph lasted exactly 3 seconds. That's how long it took for the real police to arrive, led by the commissioner himself. "Mr. Richardson," the commissioner said, and everyone gasped as they recognized the supposedly poor old man. "We have the evidence you requested. Marcus Adegoke, you're under arrest for bribery, extortion, and filing false reports." As Marcus was led away, Samuel turned to the crowd. "This woman gave away everything she had to help a stranger. When accused of theft, she chose freedom over fortune. How many of you would do the same?" The crowd dispersed, ashamed. But one person remained, the crying woman from yesterday. She removed her wig and wiped away her fake tears, revealing herself to be Linda, Samuel's personal secretary. "Sir," Linda said to Samuel, "she passed the first test." Amara stood frozen, confused, betrayed. "It was all a test?" Samuel's eyes softened. "The generosity was real, Amara. Your choice to help was real. The test was simply to see what you'd do when no one important was watching. Except everyone is important, aren't they?" 3 weeks passed. Amara had said nothing to anyone about Samuel's true identity, though the weight of the secret felt heavy. He still visited daily, still in his shabby clothes, still buying the fruits others wouldn't. Joy's condition had worsened. The doctor had recommended a specialist in South Africa, but the cost, 2 million naira, might as well have been 2 billion. Amara sold fruits during the day and washed clothes at night, saving every possible naira. One morning, Samuel arrived earlier than usual, carrying an expensive-looking briefcase. "Amara, I need a favor," he said, his face serious. "I have a business meeting across town, but I can't take this case with me. The people I'm meeting, they wouldn't understand why someone like me would have something like this. Can you keep it safe for a few hours?" "Of course, sir," Amara replied, though the case made her nervous. It looked like it contained something valuable. "Don't open it," Samuel warned. "Just keep it safe. I'll be back by noon." Noon came and went. Then 1 o'clock, 2, 3. At 4 o'clock, a different man approached, tall, expensively dressed, with cold eyes that reminded Amara of Marcus. "You have something that belongs to my employer," the man said, pointing at the briefcase. "I don't know what you mean," Amara replied, her instincts screaming danger. That case contains 20 million naira, the man said, loud enough for other vendors to hear. My employer, Mr. Richardson, sent me to collect it. 20 million. The number hung in the air like thunder. Other vendors stopped their work to stare. 20 million could change everything. Joy could get treatment. They could leave the streets. They could have a life. Do you have identification? Amara asked. The man pulled out an official-looking badge. Thomas Okoro, Richardson Industries, Senior Security. The badge looked real. The man knew Samuel's real name. And 20 million naira sat inches from her fingers. I'm sorry, Amara said firmly. But Mr. Samuel told me he would collect it himself. Until he does, it stays with me. The man's demeanor changed instantly. Do you know what's in that case? Open it. Look. 20 million naira. Think what you could do with even a small portion. Who would know if a few bundles went missing? I would know, Amara replied. Your daughter is sick, the man pressed. You think Samuel Richardson cares? You think he'd miss a few thousand naira? He spends more on lunch than you make in a year. Take what you need. Say I forced you. Say anything, but save your daughter. For one moment, one terrible, tempting moment, Amara's hand moved toward the case's latches. Joy's face flashed in her mind. The medicine, the treatment, the life they could have. But then she remembered something her mother had told her years ago. Integrity isn't about doing right when it's easy. It's about doing right when it costs you everything. No, she said, pulling her hand back. The case stays with me until Samuel returns. The man laughed, an ugly sound. You're a fool. Your daughter will die because of your pride. If she dies, Amara said, her voice breaking but determined, she dies with a mother she can be proud of. The man left, and Amara collapsed in her chair, tears streaming down her face. She'd just chosen honor over her daughter's life. What kind of mother does that? At 6 o'clock, as the sun set, Samuel finally returned. His clothes were different, cleaner, newer. I'm sorry I'm late, he said. I heard Thomas visited you. You knew. Thomas is my head of security, and yes, there is 20 million in this case. He opened it, revealing stacks of pristine notes. It was always meant for you, Amara. For Joy's treatment. But I needed to know you could be trusted with it. Amara stared at the money, then at Samuel. You tested me with my daughter's life? No, Samuel said gently. I tested you with power. The power to take without consequence, the power to justify any action because of need. You passed. And if I had taken it, then Joy would still have gotten treatment, but through an anonymous donation. You would never have known it was from me, and I would have known that need had defeated your integrity. He pushed the case toward her. This is yours now. Not charity. Payment for proving that trustworthiness still exists. But Amara pushed it back. I can't take payment for being who I am. Then take it for Joy. Joy needs a mother she can respect more than she needs money. Samuel smiled, that mysterious smile she'd come to know. Linda, he called, and his secretary appeared from behind a nearby stall. She passed the second test, integrity intact, even when it cost everything. The money for Joy's treatment came anyway, through a randomly selected medical charity that just happened to choose Joy's case. Amara suspected Samuel, but when she confronted him, he simply smiled and bought his usual bruised bananas. 2 months had passed since the first test. Joy was in South Africa receiving treatment, responding well. Amara had moved her fruit stand to a better location. Samuel had somehow arranged for a permit she'd been denied for years. Life was looking up. Which is exactly when the third test began. It started with a young man named David collapsing at Amara's stand. He was thin, hollow-eyed, and burning with fever. "Please," he gasped, "water." As Amara helped him drink, she noticed the marks on his arms, the telltale signs. HIV had progressed to AIDS, and from his appearance, he didn't have long. "I have nowhere to go," David whispered. "My family threw me out. I just wanted to buy an apple, to taste something sweet one more time." Without hesitation, Amara closed her stand and took David to her small apartment. She set him up in Joy's room, gave him food, medicine from her own supplies. Samuel visited that evening, finding Amara tending to David. "You know what people will say," he warned. "Your customers will leave. They'll think you're contaminated. Your business will die." "Then it dies," Amara replied, checking David's temperature. And Samuel was right. Word spread quickly. Customers began avoiding her stand. Other vendors moved away, afraid of association. In 3 days, her income dropped to nothing. But worse was coming. Linda arrived with official-looking documents. "Miss Okafor, the medical charity has received complaints about your lifestyle choices. They're threatening to withdraw Joy's treatment funding unless you remove the AIDS patient from your home." Amara's world stopped. Joy, her baby girl, finally getting better, finally having a chance. "How long do I have to decide?" she asked, her voice hollow. 24 hours. That night, Amara sat between 2 beds, David in one room, dying but finally feeling human again, and an empty bed in another room where Joy should be, getting better but possibly losing her treatment. David woke, saw her crying. "Amara, what's wrong?" She told him everything. "Then I'll leave," David said immediately, trying to get up. "I won't cost you your daughter." "No," Amara said firmly, gently pushing him back. "You'll die on the streets." "I'll die anyway. At least Joy will live." "But what kind of life will she have, knowing her mother chose money over a human being? What values will she learn?" "She'll be alive to learn them." Amara made her decision at dawn. She called Linda. "I won't abandon David," she said simply. "If the charity withdraws funding, then I'll find another way." "You're choosing a stranger over your own child?" Linda asked, though her tone was strange, almost approving. "I'm choosing to show my child that every life has value. That love isn't conditional on convenience." 2 hours later, Samuel arrived with an entire medical team. They took David to a private facility where he would receive the best care for his remaining months. Then Samuel turned to Amara. "The charity was never going to withdraw funding," he said. "That was the final test." Amara slapped him, hard. The sound echoed across the street. "How dare you!" she screamed. "How dare you use my daughter, use David, use dying people for your games!" Samuel touched his reddened cheek, nodding. "You're right to be angry. But I'm dying too, Amara. Pancreatic cancer. 6 months, maybe less. And I have $10 billion that will either destroy people or save them, depending on who controls it." The fight went out of Amara. "What? I have no family. My wife died. My children died young. I built an empire, but empires mean nothing without a worthy heir. So yes, I tested you, because I needed to know that my life's work would go to someone who values people over profit, integrity over opportunity, sacrifice over self." He pulled out an envelope. "Congratulations, Amara Okafor. You're the beneficiary of my entire estate." Back in the cathedral, Amara stood to give her eulogy. The priest had asked her to speak, this strange woman who was the only mourner at a billionaire's funeral. "Samuel Richardson was the richest man in Africa," she began, her voice carrying through the empty church. "But for 6 months he was just Samuel to me. A lonely old man who bought bruised fruit and asked strange questions." She paused, looking at the coffin. "He tested me. 3 times, each test harder than the last. He wanted to find someone worthy of his fortune. But what he really found was someone who saw him as worthy without his fortune." The church doors opened. Linda walked in, followed by Thomas, then David in a wheelchair, then dozens, hundreds of people. The church filled with those Samuel had secretly helped over the years, students he'd funded, businesses he'd saved, families he'd fed. "We didn't come for Richardson the billionaire," an elderly woman called out. "We came for Samuel, the man who saved us." Amara smiled through her tears. "He saved me too. Not with his money, but by seeing me. The real me. Not the street vendor, not the struggling mother, but the person who could carry on his true legacy." She held up the envelope Samuel had given her, still unopened. "I haven't read this yet. I was afraid it would change how I felt about him. But now, surrounded by the lives he touched, I understand. The money was never the real inheritance." She opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper with Samuel's handwriting. "Dear Amara, if you're writing this, I'm gone, and you've probably slapped me at least once for my deception. Good. I deserved it. The money is yours, all 10 billion. But more than that, I leave you my mission, to find the invisible people, the ones society overlooks. Test them if you must, but trust them when you can. You asked me once if I believed in tests. I do. But I also believe in grace, your name's meaning. Be grace to others, as you were grace to me. Your friend, and yes, we were friends, Samuel P.S. Joy's treatment was never in danger. I'm a bastard, but not that much of a bastard." 6 months later, Amara stood in the boardroom of Richardson Industries, now Okafor Richardson Foundation. The name change had been her first decision. "We're not just giving money away," she told the board, many of whom had initially opposed a street vendor becoming their CEO. "We are investing in invisible people, the ones who choose integrity when corruption would be easier, the ones who sacrifice when selfishness would be understandable." Joy, healthy now and beaming, sat beside her mother. She'd learned the whole story and insisted on one addition to the Foundation's mission. "We also help the testers," Joy had said. "The lonely billionaires who don't know how to trust anymore. They need love too." And so the Okafor Richardson Foundation became something unique. Not just charity, but connection. Not just money, but meaning. Not just tests, but trust. David, recoveries beyond all medical expectations, became the Foundation's first HIV/AIDS advocate. Linda managed operations with the same precision she'd once used to orchestrate Samuel's tests. Even Thomas, the security head who'd tried to tempt Amara, found redemption in protecting the Foundation's work. But the most important change was in the small things. Amara still sold fruits. Every Saturday, she set up her stand on Wilson Street, selling to anyone who needed not just food, but to be seen. The bruised bananas still went first, bought by those who understood that imperfection didn't mean unworthiness. And sometimes, just sometimes, a sad-looking person would appear, Maybe rich, maybe poor, always lost. And Amara would know. Another tester, looking for someone to trust. She'd smile, offer them the bruised fruit, and wait to see if they understood the beauty in broken things. Because Samuel had taught her something profound. Everyone is testing everyone else, all the time. Testing for honesty, for kindness, for love. The trick wasn't to pass the tests. The trick was to be yourself so completely that the tests didn't matter. In the end, Samuel Richardson's funeral hadn't been empty at all. It had been filled with the only thing that mattered: genuine love from someone who'd seen past his tests to the broken, lonely man beneath. And in her office, next to Joy's graduation photo and David's recovery certificate, Amara kept one small reminder of it all. A bruised banana, bronze cast and mounted, with a simple inscription. Perfect things are rarely interesting. S.R. The street vendor who'd inherited $10 billion had learned the only lesson worth knowing. Wealth isn't what you have, but what you give. Power isn't what you control, but what you release. And love, real love, sees past all the tests to the terrified tester, offering grace. Always grace. 3 years after Samuel's death, the Okafor Richardson Foundation had helped over 100,000 people across Africa. But its greatest achievement wasn't measured in numbers. It was measured in the security guard who returned a wallet with a month's salary inside. The teacher who stayed in a village school despite city offers. The mother who shared her last meal with a stranger's child. Each one had been tested by life. Each one had chosen integrity over ease, sacrifice over self, love over logic. And somewhere, perhaps, Samuel Richardson was smiling that mysterious smile, knowing that his true fortune, the ability to see worth in the worthless, would outlive his money by generations. Because he hadn't just found an heir, he'd found a friend. And in the end, that's all any of us are really testing for. Someone who'll see us, truly see us, and love us anyway. Even when we're just bruised bananas, hoping someone finds us worth saving.